Hello, and welcome to my Modular 10, my case study of When a Student's Rights Are Wronged by Kelly Gatewood. The first thing we're going to talk about is a summary of what happened in this case. And in this case, Miguel Hernandez was a student. He was injured while playing in a football game, and he's going to return to school in a wheelchair. When he comes back to school on his first day back, he is notified that his class was changed, one of his classes in his schedule, because they don't have access to the classroom for his wheelchair. The new class does satisfy his graduation requirements, but it is not the preparatory class he needs to attend college. And the parents called a meeting with the principal to discuss his rights that were possibly being violated. The biggest legal issues that I saw in this was that Miguel was not provided any of the services that is guaranteed under any of these laws. You could have pick and choose which one you wanted to go use. You could do it under the Individuals with Disability Act that says that you have to give free, appropriate public education to eligible children with disabilities through the nation and ensure special education and related services to these children. He could have done a 504 plan, which requires the recipients to provide a student with disabilities appropriate education designed to meet the individual needs of each student to the same extent as students without the disabilities. An appropriate education for a student with a disability under Section 504 consists of an education in the regular classroom, education in regular classroom with supplementary services, and or special education and related services. He also qualified for FAPE, which is free and appropriate public education, and that students with disabilities have the same right to K through 12 public education that students without disabilities have. And in order to receive benefits from that education, students with disabilities may need special education and or related aids or services. Okay. What happened, I'm supposed to summarize it in one sentence, and what happened was the student was denied access to a class because the classroom was not wheelchair eligible, or accessible, Facts, it took place at Nottingham High School, and it's the only high school in the district. It was built in the 1950s, and about 3/4 of the buildings are up to code to accommodate individuals with disability. The people involved in this was the student, Miguel Hernandez, his parents, their attorney, Howard Carey, the counselor, Miss Gussman, myself, which I would have been the school principal, and Dr. Harvey, who is the superintendent of Dover Unified School District. The program was called Dover Unified School District, and one question I had when I was going through this was if this was a private or public school, because it did not say that, and just because it has unified in it does not necessarily mean that it's a public school. All that means that there's K-12 in the building. But this was taking place in the high school building. All right, a review of the information. The situation could damage a stakeholder in the community because if the rights of the students are not met, a lawsuit could result in this. The school district could and the administration could be held accountable. And I'm unsure at this point if all of the stakeholders have been contacted, and I would need to consult with the counselor, the superintendent, anyone else that may have dealt with the situation before I can make any final decisions. I chose this graphic of the power of the pause button because when I was speaking to my principal about this case, she said if this was brought to her the way it was presented to the principal in this situation, that she probably would have paused with the parents and got the superintendent and other people that might need to be involved with this in the office with her. And she says the most important thing you can remember is that at any point, you can pause any meeting. You do not have to follow through and say anything that you don't need to say. You need to make sure you know what's going on. So I thought that was very important to always remember we have the right to pause what is happening. Okay, so the options that we have and the consequences to them. So the first option we do nothing and make no decision. And most likely, if that happens, there's going to be a lawsuit. And you're going to make it on the 6 o'clock news that night. Another option you have is that you return the student to the original classroom through building modifications. The consequences of that is that the laws are followed, but the modifications could be very costly. And depending on the size of school district you're in, you might not have the funds to be able to do that. Another option, third option, is maybe the classroom could be moved to an accessible part of the building. But the consequence of doing that is, once again, the student's back in the classroom, but now the teacher and other students have to change locations. Another fourth option that I saw viable is that maybe the class is offered online or virtually where he could attend, where he can get access with his wheelchair. But the problem with that is the student is not in the actual classroom with his teachers and classmates. And through COVID, we know most students are not as successful that way. So that may not be the best option, but it is still an option. To evaluate everything, I honestly have more questions than I do have answers with all of this, and I feel like I need a lot more information to be able to determine what should be handled in this situation. First of all, once again, I work in a really small school, and what other services is he going to need? Is he going to need help going to the bathroom? Is he going to need help, other limitabilities that he has now? And who's going to provide those services? Do we need an IEP to be able to provide those services? Our school personally is part of a co-op, and we get the services for that kind of stuff through that co-op. Is that an option in the school? Is it a big enough school they have PT on staff that this isn't a concern? Do we need to have an IEP to be able to fund this? Because if we have a student on an IEP, we're going to have more funding from the state to be able to pay for these services. Ultimately, we need to get him back in class. We know that he has the right to be in that class, and we have to find a way to get him back in that class. And the other thing that I would really like to know is, why did the counselor not come and talk to me before this? I kind of feel like as the principal, I was being ambushed by the parents coming in and just saying, this is what happened. How are you going to fix it? Why did the counselor not know that they were breaking rules by doing this, and regulations and laws? Why did we not sit down and have a plan before the student returned to school? I mean, the way I understood it, there was quite a bit of time from when they said he's going to come back till when he actually did show up, at least a few weeks, that we should have prepared for this a little bit more instead of chasing our tails here at the end. So the best option that I think is going to happen is to get him back in the classroom. It's either going to be due to the room being modified or relocation of the room, but we have to find a way to get him in class. And I would probably also start the process of getting an IEP or 504 plan, because let's be honest, he's probably going to need more services. I can't imagine his only problem being getting into this classroom. And so then that way we can start having the funding that we need to provide these services, because somebody somewhere has to pay for it. Dealing with the stakeholders, I feel like I need to be talking to my superintendent. And that's who in my school that we would need to make sure is involved with this. Maybe different in a larger district. Who's in charge of your special ed department? Are they aware of this student now having these needs and services that we didn't have before? There's just a lot that we really don't know in the little bit that they've given us. I need to speak with the counselor. Why did she do what she did? Why didn't she discuss this plan with me? Why didn't we prevent these issues before it came to this? And does she really understand the regulations and the laws that she needs to be following too? To make this situation the best, we need to stay in contact with Miguel and his parents. When we've made these changes, is that enough? Do we still need to be providing more? And then I also think we need to be documenting everything right now, because obviously with them bringing in a lawyer, they're not afraid to possibly sue. And so we need to make sure we know what our plan is and how to prevent it getting to that level, and to make sure that we're providing the services that he needs. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is we need to get him back in that class that he needs and find a way to make sure that that happens. These are the resources I used, and thank you very much.